Today I want to discuss something that's been on my mind since one of my last videos, talking about why I prefer amp modeling. Some of the comments on my recent video kind of led me to think, has amp modeling peaked, or is it going to continue to get better and better, way better than we've ever seen? Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing amp modeling and if it has peaked. And as always, I want to know what you guys are thinking about this down below in the comments. So make sure to let me know your opinion on the subject. Before we get into the video, I wanted to let you know that this channel is supported through my Patreon, which is linked down below. If you enjoy any of the content here on my channel and want to see more of it and see the production continue to get better and better, and as well gain access to tons of in-depth guitar lessons with Tab, go check out my Patreon. I also give away a free guitar lesson, one-on-one guitar lesson every month to one of my Patreon supporters. So if you're interested in any of that, please go check the link down below. Now, I think basically most modelers nowadays that are like name brand modelers, I haven't really tried a bunch of the kind of knockoff Amazon modelers yet, but they seem to be really consistent and really good. The functionality of like, you know, ins and outs and different ways of running it in live scenarios, or kind of just using the effects or just the amp and then using it with other pedals. There's a lot of options nowadays with modelers, even past how good they sound, which I think is really awesome. But I started thinking about it and I feel like, like I said, if you guys disagree, please let me know down below. But ever since like the Xvive 3 came out, maybe, I think it was 2017, 2018. Actually, let me look it up. When did the Xvive 3 come out? January, so early 2018 is when the Xvive 3 came out. And I really feel like even before then, with modeling, like the Helix, Xvive 2 and stuff like that, it was in a very good spot. Like even with the Kempers and things like that, they all sounded good, they worked well, and they're kind of gaining in popularity, I would say, with the live. I remember when I first started playing guitar, like modeling, some people use modeling, but it was still like this weird thing. If you use modelers, most people used amps. And I feel like nowadays it's really shifted to like modeling is so common. Having a direct out ampless rig at shows and stuff like that is very common, if not the most common way for players to be playing nowadays, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. But it's because I feel like in that era, I don't know when the Helix came up, we'll say like 2016 to 2018, I feel like there was a massive jump in improvement. They really worked on the dynamic feel of the amp modeling and things like that, and it's gotten really good. However, since then, you know, 2018, there's been updates to like the fractals, obviously updates to the Helix. We've seen the quad Cortex come out, and it's definitely gotten better. Modeling has gotten better, but I don't feel like it's really, there hasn't been, in my opinion, a big jump in like 6 to 8 years probably in the modeling kind of world. Now there's a bunch of cool things like the Tonex and like the new Nano Cortex, the Kempers doing things. There's all these awesome things that are happening, but I don't find them to be like anything much different than another product. There's like it's like a rebranding from a different brand that maybe has some functionality difference, but it's pretty much the same thing. We're seeing a ton of that nowadays, like so many different modeling things that are basically the same thing, and it's just your kind of workflow that makes you want it or over another product. And so in my opinion, I feel like it's pretty much peaked. You know, there's some incremental steps forward. You know, I feel like IR is another thing. Like I recently tried the Ox Stomp. Obviously there's the 2-note stuff, just IRs in general. I think as far as like speaker modeling, I don't find it's really gotten very good either. Like I think IRs are, I mean, I've tried the 2-note stuff, and I've tried the Ox, like universal audio thing, and maybe there's better products or something like that, and they were really cool, but I still feel like just a raw IR is more accurate to a real kind of live amp situation than those are. Those are cool because you can tweak different sounds, but the modeling technology, it feels very model-y, not very analog like a real amp, which maybe we're moving to a direction where we're not even trying to sound like an amp anymore. But like, I feel like tone wise, we might be in an era where we're trying to sound like a modeler and not trying to model amps, if that makes sense. It's interesting in my opinion that it seems like a lot of tones nowadays don't sound like an amp anymore. If you go through like Instagram and listen to a lot of guitar players, what they are playing doesn't sound like a traditional amp at all. But I had this comment on the last video too, and it was very interesting. He thinks that AI, this, big time, I'm not an AI expert, so anyways, this technology is going to really not only transform, I guess, everything in life, but even amp modeling. And he thinks the next, because I was kind of talking about that, I don't feel like amp modeling feels like a real amp, doesn't react the same as a real amp. And obviously I feel like there's some latency that happens. There's many different other things that are not, they're really good. For instance, like I find like palm muting doesn't react like an amp at all. Certain high frequencies really don't react, like in probably 4 to 8K range. It doesn't react the same as a tube amp, in my opinion, reacts. They still don't have that kind of down. I don't even, my opinion is I don't see that being possible. Now, he was bringing up AI. He thinks AI is going to be able to emulate perfectly all how like it feels, how it reacts on those different situations. And maybe that's true. I would actually love if that's true. But I feel like, in my opinion, that modeling has peaked, and it doesn't, there's still, it's close enough, but it's still not close enough, in my opinion, to be like, oh, I'm not going to ever play an amp. Because like this amp right here, there's no way a fractal perfectly tweaked is going to react the same way that this amp right here is going to react. And it's mainly, it can sound very similar, but it's more of a static, compressed sound than the dynamic, where this changes on the spot and reacts differently. And maybe AI will join the community and somehow use that to help make that all work somehow. And I would love that. I think that would be awesome. I personally don't see it. It's 2024. I would say 2030, I would assume, I'm making a bet that either modeling is going to be completely insane in 2030, or it's going to be pretty much the exact same as it is today. I think it's going to be pretty much the exact same. I don't see it getting those fine-tuned details better. Now, the other products that I think companies are going to lean into, in my opinion, and I think they should, because I love this, is like the Friedman IR-X. Most people, and I personally believe this, that the IR-X, obviously it's got real tubes, and it's only one sound, of course, but no modeler, in my opinion, can sound exactly and react the same way as even that reacts. Now, it's very limiting, that pedal, because obviously you don't have effects. You can't really go in and tweak the speaker section as nice as some other things. It's got good ins and out options. I wish there was XLR and stuff like that. But as far as the just amp sounds itself, because it's got a real true preamp in there, it's remarkably incredible. And I feel like companies, I forgot, like the Fender Tone Master, they have all these different things that sound incredible. They're super functionality. There's like the super modeling side. I think what's going to start happening more is just more of the, somebody's going to take and like somehow emulate with real tubes and stuff like that. Maybe like 3 different amps. So you have like a clean sound, a dirty sound, and then a super dirty sound, and somehow make that work. Because I think I truly believe there's something in tubes and in the, even if it's solid state, in that natural analog world of how things react, that digital things, they don't know how to do those nuanced things, and they're going to have to, in my opinion, to get modeling to the level of it's as good as a tube amp, they're gonna have to bring tubes in, or some really high quality analog, something working. I don't know if it's like capacitors or something, or the output something, I don't know, but in my opinion, they're gonna have to bring, just like Friedman did, bring some analog characteristics into that to get that final step. And I think without that, I really think in 2030, 2040, 2050, I think amp modeling is going to be a little bit better. It's going to continue to get a little bit better, but I think it's going to be pretty much where it's at. Like, I feel like we're probably at like 95 to 96% of the way of peak, in my opinion. So there's some room for growth, but I think, we have all these companies with all these different things, and I feel like they all pretty much sound the same. They kind of work the same. I think going forward, my guess is companies, there's going to be a company, I don't know if it's Fractal or something like that, but they're going to take true tube amp circuit type things and connect it with the modeling of effects, and they're going to blend it together. And that's how we're going to get modeling in a little package to sound as good, and play as good as a real amp. But I don't think, in my opinion, that modeling is going to get any better. I might be wrong. I kind of want to be wrong. Anyways, that's all I have to say on this topic. I want to know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys back next time.